Hello folks, welcome to the Malware Monthly for June 2020. This month we're talking about TrickBot staging servers, blockchain malware, and APT using LNK files. So sit back, relax, here comes the facts. Ryuk ransomware deployed 2 weeks after TrickBot infection. Researchers from SentinelOne recently detailed their analysis of compromised server logs, which were used by TrickBot to deploy information gathering and infection tools. Using the for-pay penetration testing platform Cobalt Strike, the TrickBot actors were able to infect the server, then use the capabilities of Cobalt Strike to steal passwords, gain elevated privileges, scan for more vulnerable systems, and much more, all with the aim of infecting as much of the network as possible. The researchers showed examples of commands launched by the TrickBot operators on the compromised server, and it appears that the attack took 2 weeks to infect the network before launching the Ryuk ransomware on all compromised systems. While being able to see some artifacts of a sophisticated business network breach, the real interesting and concerning part of this story revolves around the use of Cobalt Strike in such an attack. We've seen plenty of tools that were created for easy penetration testing used by attackers all over the world, from Mimikatz to the Cobalt Strike platform. These tools fall into a gray area between legitimate testing tool and hacker aid, and at the end of the day, it comes down to how it's being used and by whom that decides whether or not it's malicious. The face of tomorrow's cybercrime, deepfake ransomware explained. Malwarebytes Labs' own Jovi Umawing wrote an article discussing the possibility of deepfake ransomware, or ransomware that utilizes deepfake technology to create offensive media depicting the victim and demanding payments else the video gets out. This theoretical attack has roots in previously seen deepfake technology being used to create lewd images of users based on data and media pulled from social media. In addition to that, the popular sextortion method of attack, in which an attacker claims to have incriminating video of the user and will release it unless payment is made, may be a precursor to this form of attack. The article recommends users clean up and lock down their presence online in an action referred to as data detoxing, in order to prevent attackers from using your media against you. Thanos ransomware auto-spreads to Windows devices, evades security. A new ransomware family named Thanos, has been spotted targeting businesses in the wild, using tactics never before seen in ransomware attacks. Thanos is using the RI-Place anti-ransomware evasion technique, which masks the operations of the ransomware. In addition, this malware automatically steals and uploads documents it finds to a remote FTP server and uses other included features to automatically infect other systems on the network through lateral movement. This ransomware has all the bells and whistles and may very well become the standard blueprint for future ransomware attacks. For now though, this malware has only been seen in highly targeted attacks against corporate networks, though time will tell if we see the same features used in ransomware attacks against small businesses and consumers. MSPs, know what you're really looking for in an RMM platform. Managed services and security providers, or MSPs, help businesses that don't have resources to hire an in-house security team and protect their networks. However, over the last few years, there have been more cases of malware attacks that utilize the framework of an MSP to infect numerous customers at the same time. With ransomware threat actors exploiting weaknesses in remote monitoring and management, or RMM platforms, to get into endpoints by the thousands, MSPs have found themselves wondering whether their platform is secure, robust, and agile enough to deal with the changing threat landscape. To help them decide, we drafted a post which discusses the key questions to ask when choosing an RMM that's right for them. Glepteba malware leverages blockchain as a communications channel. Researchers at Sophos Labs have released a paper discussing the Glepteba malware, a powerful new malware family that has more features than a kitchen sink sandwich. From rootkit functionality that can hide processes and files to worm-like functionality that allows it to spread to and from home routers, this malware has it all, including a novel approach to getting commands from its controller. Glepteba uses blockchain technology to covertly receive commands from its command and control server, which is a new feature not seen before but likely to be copied. This malware is distributed primarily through piracy sites, where users looking for cracked versions of image editing software download what they think is a legitimate application but turns out to be malware. According to Andrew Brandt, principal researcher at Sophos Labs, this is definitely a play for people working from home or people who have their kids at home. I don't know what it is. People must know these sites are bad, but the lure is too strong. Glipteba tends to prey on people who don't have a lot of money but need the functionality of these software programs. Despite the capability of this malware, researchers believe that the goal of the attackers may be to compromise enough systems so that they could sell access to other cybercriminals on the darknet. Regardless, copycats will likely adopt many of the same features into their own malware families in the near future, especially if this particular family and its tactics turn out to be profitable. Lock and Code. This month on Lock and Code, we talked to Matt Davey, Chief Operations Optimist at 1Password, and Kyle Swank, a member of 1Password security team, about what else? Passwords.
Right? They're using the password probably that they reused at home, that they made up, that has the service name in it plus the name of their cat. And they're wandering around thinking that that's perfectly secure. And that means 60% of the services that you use for business are essentially insecure, right?
A person who uses the same password, even if it's a strong one, if one of those sites is compromised, it can lead to that password that they use everywhere being compromised and all of their potential sites being compromised.
Just as every month, Lock and Code is a fantastic resource to absorb while driving, doing chores, or working out. Regardless of what else you're doing, you'll be learning at the same time. New LNK attack tied to Hygasa APT discovered. On May 29th, Malwarebytes Labs identified an attack that we believe is part of a new campaign from an advanced persistent threat group known as Hygasa, believed to be tied to the North Korean peninsula. In this latest incident, Hygasa used a malicious shortcut file ultimately responsible for creating a multi-stage attack that consists of several malicious scripts, payloads, and decoy PDF documents. The group's campaign, as we captured it, utilized different types of bait documents, including a CV or resume. However, the malicious email campaign includes a compressed RAR file, which includes a link or LNK files, disguised as the documents the user is expecting. Upon executing these files, a chain of events occurs which leads to both the expected document being loaded, as well as malware being installed on the system. Let's break this down. The threat actors use a malicious LNK file, bundled within an archive file, which was most likely distributed via spear phishing. The LNK files contain a list of commands that will be executed upon running and a blob of base64 encoded compressed code which contains the primary payload. Once one of these files is opened, the file copies content of the LNK file into a newly created .tmp file we'll call LNK copy. Next, the malware copies the contents of the legitimate Windows certificate tool certutil.exe into a new file named gosaya.exe, which it's going to use later. The LNK launches the Windows application findstr.exe against itself. This extracts the base64 blob and writes it to another temporary file we'll call encodedpayload.tmp. Then, using the copy certificate utility, now named gosaya.exe, the contents of encodedpayload.tmp are decoded and written to a new cabinet file we'll call payload.cab, which is then expanded with another Windows application called expand.exe, revealing multiple individual files within payload.cab. The cab file contains a malicious JavaScript we'll call malicious.js, a temporary file containing shellcode we'll call shellcode.tmp, the decoy PDF document, for example the actual resume advertised, and a loader application named svchas.exe. The malware copies shellcode.tmp and malicious.js into the public downloads directory, then opens the decoy PDF document and executes the JavaScript file. The next stage of commands comes from malicious.js. First, it creates a file in public downloads we'll call ipinfo and stores the output of the network configuration utility ipconfig, which includes information about the IP address of the victim system and network information. Next, the script launches the extracted svchas.exe application from the payload.cab file. This file acts as a shellcode loader, which copies the code found in shellcode.tmp to application memory and executes it. To establish persistence on the system, the script copies svchas.exe into the startup directory and renames it as officeupdate.exe. Once complete, it establishes officeupdate.exe as a scheduled task for the system. Lastly, the script sends ipinfo, which includes information about the system IP configuration, to a hard-coded URL. Once executed on restart, svc-has.exe, or Office Update as it's now called, will load the shellcode from shellcode.tmp and make HTTPS requests to its command and control server awaiting instructions. At the time of analysis, the command and control servers were down, so we weren't able to clearly identify the ultimate goal of this attack. However, Hygasa was observed and written about by researchers at Anomaly back in March of this year, which was a very similar attack to the one we just described. The goal of that campaign was to infect systems with the PlugX remote access Trojan, which is malware commonly used by China-based threat actors. So the goal of this operation may have been similar, and it makes sense that this group would be trying to launch a Swiss Army knife malware like PlugX, as it would provide the greatest amount of functionality to the attackers in determining who their victim is, what accesses they have, and potentially how and what to disrupt or steal from them. To find links to any of these articles, check the description below. That's it for this month's Malware Monthly. Thanks for watching, stay safe, I'll see you next time.